Good afternoon and welcome to my hobby bench once again. So it's been a while since I made a video, especially one on the table like this, but today is a very special day because I got a very special engine on my box here, on my table here, and as you can see it's an OS engine. And from the looks and color and size, it's a rather old OS engine. But first I'm going to tell you a little bit about a story about how this engine came to be on this table. So last Saturday was the Winnebago RC Flyers swap meet and fun fly, and I decided I would attend that. So I packed up some items that I was done with and wanted to get kind of lighten my load a bit, took them to the field, set them out, and I sold several things. Believe it or not, even though there's probably only maybe 15-20 cars there tops, lots of people flying, there were some people that were actually selling things, and with such a small group of people, there were actually several people selling glow engines, and I was one of them. So I actually got this engine from a fellow that was selling some glow planes and some other glow engines, and it was only after I had sold a few things and I sat and I thought, you know, do I really want to buy another darn engine? Well, it turned out he had an engine that I've never had on this channel before, so it really pretty much told me that yes, it would be in my best interest, or at least the best interest of the channel, to get this engine and share it with you all. Now, I debated about, this is going to be a look inside engine, an initial inspection and look inside. I debated about putting a glove on my hand because, as you can see, I have injured my thumb. And if you're not opposed to seeing a bloody picture, maybe I can post a bloody picture of what I did to my thumb. But I was using a knife trying to cut a couple of pancakes, frozen pancakes apart for breakfast the other day, and it slipped, and well, the rest is history. So that's why my thumb is all taped up. But let's get to this engine. So you can see each one of these is a square. So this box is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches square. That's a rather large box, and you'd think, well, geez, that's got to be a 4-stroke engine. But it's not a 4-stroke engine, because what it is an OS 61 FSR engine. And this is back in the days when OS really still cared, and many companies cared about packaging and making sure things were safe. And that's what we're going to see here. We're going to look at how they used to package things, because this is all original. Original foam sheet to cover the top, and then I'll just take this stuff out real quick. This is the engine, and this is how things used to be packaged in the old days. This nice foam stuff that just really kept things tidy and safe. Now, I was just looking, before I turned the camera on, I was looking at my OS Engines timeline, and I'm seeing OS in like 74, I think, 75, had an OS 60 FSR. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to try and pick this up where I left off. Honestly, I had to stop the camera because a phone call came in, and then after the call, I got back on here and I disassembled. I did the whole video. I did the whole video, disassembled this engine, everything, and then I look up at it and I forgot to hit record. So now I got to remember where I was and start all over again. But what I was saying when I got interrupted by the call was, on my OS Engines timeline, there are there's 2 OS 61 FSRs and 1 60 FSR. The 60 FSR, I think, was shown as being in 1974. The first 61 FSR was in 79, and it says FSR ABC, which of course we all know that OS never made any ABC engines, unless maybe they made one then. They've always called them ABC when they're actually ABN. And then what I believe is this one, which is in 1980, there was yet another, it just says on the timeline OS 61 FSR. It doesn't say ringed or anything. So this is a ringed engine, even though the box doesn't say that it's ringed at all. It is a ringed engine, and you will see that here very soon. So let me take this thing out. I've got the carb loose on this. Of course, like I just said, I took everything apart anyway for a quick look inside. And that's where we're at here. So the high-speed needle is right here. It's not in the carb. It came with another Allen screw, or Allen key, which I don't believe is stock with this. And then the exhaust is a 744 exhaust, pretty standard exhaust for the day. That's just what was given out. In fact, I've got another one right here, 744, that came with the OS 50 FSR, the engine that I also have in a box. So that exhaust was used across several platforms. So I am going to talk about, I got the engine out and I've got a whole bunch of exhaust residue on my hand. Let me see if I can find a paper towel, or not exhaust residue, oil from when I previously opened this engine up. So I want to validate, those of you that watch this channel and these engines of mine know that I like the history of things. So I'm saying that this is a 1980 version of the engine. So this marketing literature, we're just going to go under the assumption that all of this stuff is stock and came with this engine, and that we don't have a marketing literature that's that came from another engine that's mismatched stuff. So I always go straight to the 4-stroke engines and look to see what the latest engine is on here. And this one, on this documentation, it says new, the OS or the FS 120 with the split rocker arms. And we know that that's OS's first 120. And it was the only one until the V95 and 62 later in 2000s that had the split rocker arms. So, and I know that this, for my timeline, came out in 1983. So this is saying new. So that means to me that this is obviously the 1980 vintage engine from my OS Engines timeline. Now the cool thing about this engine, among other things, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. A little bit. I'm going to be putting another engine here in a minute. But is that, I got this off, is it comes with the 7M carb. Did I go too fast for you, camera? Can you focus on that? You're not focusing? Now you're focusing. 7M carb. I think you can see that. I also happen to have my OS 61 SF engine here, and this dates back to 1986, and I'm going to pull its carb off and show you that now I have one of each of these OS carbs that are very interesting, the 7M and the 7L. Man, why is this thing not wanting to focus? Come on, camera, you can focus. There you go. 7N, 7L. Now they both have what looks like really complicated adjustments. They're both similar, but yet different. One has 3 adjustments, one has 4 adjustments. This one has 4, this one has 3. But anyway, what I think I may do is I may end up just kind of discontinue talking about these right now and make this just a separate video. But suffice to say that I've got 2 of these OS carbs now that are, seemingly complicated when in reality they're just really good carbs. So I'm going to put that one back over there. And as I did earlier, when the damn camera wasn't on, I wanted to do a quick look inside, and I ended up taking the whole front housing off, rear cover, head off, and everything. This is a very low time engine. It's got really good compression. I don't understand why my camera is having a hard time focusing when it's set up for servo mode, so it should autofocus. But this thing, hopefully you can see, I don't know, I'm looking up at the LCD screen and I can't tell if you can actually see in there or not, but the side of this piston, you can see it's a ringed engine. Hopefully you can see that. And the side of the piston, just looks shiny as hell. It looks brand new. And this glow plug that came with this engine looks to be like a Fox Miracle plug with an idle bar. Or not a Miracle plug, a Fox long idle bar plug. Why that would be in here, I have no idea. But I think I'm just going to quickly repeat what I did initially, which was remove the head, rear cover, and maybe even take that back piece off, or the front rotor off and show the internals of how beautiful this engine is. Maybe I won't take the front housing off, but we'll see. But anyway, this engine, it has a slight... You see, why is this damn camera not focusing? It should be focusing really quickly. Anyway, it has a slight little blemish on the head there, and then the prop washer has got a couple of little marks on it. Now this nut that's on here is not stock. This came from a spinner that I had, because it didn't actually come with a prop nut, which was kind of unfortunate, but whatever. I found one that I can use, and I can get another one. But when I looked at the top of this piston, it's like this engine is so low time, it's practically brand new. And I don't know if I mentioned it initially, but I got this for $50 in the box. Look at this. Look at the top of that piston. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. Let me push my little focus button here again. I think you can kind of see a scribe mark there. That's actually an arrow scribed into the top of the piston that denotes this is the direction or orientation of the piston. It's going this way towards the exhaust. So when you disassemble it, that's how it should come back together. So let's use this. You're not going to hear the snapping of the fasteners from being torqued because I just took these off just a while ago, and you did hear it on that. Of course, it didn't get recorded, unfortunately. Hi, Sash. So yeah, gasket's in perfect condition. I don't know why this camera isn't auto-focusing for some reason. Look at how beautiful that is. It's just clean as a whistle. I don't know where that saying ever came from, because who the hell says a whistle is clean because it's been in somebody's mouth? But anyway, yeah, my LCD says servo AF, so it should be servo autofocus. Why it's not out now? It seems like it's autofocusing fine. So that's that. Let's take this front housing off again. And I'm just gonna have to make sure that I really torque these things down again. Because when I looked up and saw that I'd been sitting here talking and disassembling the engine and the video wasn't running, I got a little peeved. I don't know what the preservative is in here, but somebody did a really good job of putting, I'm assuming it's the person I bought the engine from, but I don't know for sure. I don't know what this is, if it's Corrosion X, but it's a smell that I've never owned or used before, but I have smelled it before, and it's a very good quality lubricant or after run oil. So that gasket came off, and it's in good shape, perfect shape actually. So here's the front housing. Did we focus? Can't hear anything, can you? It's because those are perfectly smooth bearings. I'm not going to go through the trouble of pulling the piston out and the sleeve out. I think you get the idea. And this engine is essentially what I'm going to call damn close to being brand new. And it's what, from 1980? 34, is that 34? 44-year-old engine? Wow. No, it can't be 44. Okay, now, the fun part. Put this baby back together here. Yeah, see, look at that. Put it back together perfectly. I completely missed that connecting rod pin. Crank pin. Totally missed the hole in there. So the thing that's nice about this design is that I've got an Enya engine that's an Enya 45 SS, I think. That's a two-piece engine, but it doesn't have a removable cover. So when you go to do this, it's like a real crapshoot. You really have to have good targeting to get this thing to line up. At least here, it's not quite so bad. I've got, you know, I can kind of see what I'm doing here a little bit. Not like it's going to matter if I'm still way off the mark. Came off at bottom dead center, so this should be lined up pretty close. There we go. So anyway, I'm going to finish putting the screws in this engine and say that when I was at the field Saturday picking this up, I did have my handheld camcorder, not the camera that I'm shooting this with, but I had my handheld, and it just turned out that the day the sun was just right overhead, and trying to get flight shots, I'm not that good at using a handheld without a viewfinder and trying to get shots of flight, but I mean the lighting was just so poor. Now there was several gas planes there. There was a gasser, like a big 3D type thing, and he was hovering and stuff like that. I wanted to get video of that, but the time he was doing that, I was over there talking to the fellow about this engine. I had the camera in my hand, but I couldn't just abruptly end the conversation and say, hey, sorry, I gotta go do this. So I really didn't get a whole lot of good flight video. I got very little video of the meet itself at all, or the outing. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put what little clips I've got of it on here. Maybe I'll split some from the beginning of the video. Maybe I'll put a little in between where I had to take the phone call, and then a little bit more here at the end. I'm going to finish doing this, but this is definitely going to be a running engine. One you'll see on the bench here very soon. And hopefully I'll even get around to doing a comparison video between these two carbs. Can you do it? Can you focus? Why aren't you focusing? What the hell? Between these two carbs. Anyway, that's the video for today. Thank you for watching.
So sad if it is one of them.